The Supreme Court has just ruled on the birthright citizenship case, except that's not what the case is actually about. Long story short, the Supreme Court has severely limited a district court's ability to impose a nationwide injunction, which is not great. What does that mean? What it's actually about, and I explained this a long time ago, is universal injunctions. Basically, how much power a district court judge has to pause a policy nationwide. The question at hand in this case was about birthright citizenship and whether or not a district judge could basically put a pause on a Trump administration policy that was going to affect birthright citizens across the nation. There were a few plaintiffs in the case, those are the people suing the Trump administration, and the district court judge granted an injunction or a pause to the policy while the court case was decided. The Trump administration then challenged the judge's ability to impose a nationwide injunction, which of course would affect any case with any sort of potential nationwide injunction. So what the Supreme Court has decided is to not weigh in on the merits of the birthright citizenship question in this case, but what they did rule on was the question of nationwide injunctions. And unfortunately, they basically got rid of nationwide injunctions. What does this mean? So if someone sues over a policy that is basically going against birthright citizenship in Maryland and they receive an injunction basically saying you cannot carry out this policy until the courts figure out whether or not it's constitutional, people in other states are not receiving that same pause unless they separately sue and a district court judge in their district grants them an injunction while that court case plays out. Not great. One exception they sort of seem to allow for was whether a judge can determine if there is a class action application. You know, class action certification takes forever, so that's not really going to be a solution, it seems like. And by the way, this is not like a partisan thing. Everyone on every side ever and every administration has benefited from nationwide injunctions and has, of course, been frustrated by nationwide injunctions. So the reason they ruled this way is based on this idea of complete relief. An injunction is supposed to grant the plaintiff complete relief for any harm risked if a policy or an action is allowed to continue. They conclude that complete relief is not the same as universal relief. So if a plaintiff in a case has received an injunction and they have basically received that complete relief, the injunction need not go any further to grant relief to anyone else. I hope that makes sense. I'm happy to answer any questions. This is the last Supreme Court decision day of this term before they break for summer break. So we're getting a couple of big decisions.